The new Paradox Rift set is upon us, and for the first time ever, the rest of the world is getting these new cards at the same time as Japan. The set includes the new future and ancient traits, which reminds me of the different battle styles, rapid, single and fusion. A lot of the cards were teased in the past few months, but the Pokemon TCG world has been in disarray ever since the reveal of Iron Hand ZX. Iron Hand ZX is a lightning Pokemon that has a future trait. It's got 230 HP, and its first attack, Arm Press for 2 lightning and 1 colorless, hits for 160. Nothing surprising or fantastic so far. However, for 1 lightning and 3 colorless, Amp You Very Much is hitting for 120, and the subtext says, if your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by damage from his attack, take 1 more prize card. To top things off, the new tool card Future Booster Energy Capsule gives future Pokemon free retreat cost and a bonus of 20 extra damage. While not super impressive to me initially, it just adds on top of the brokenness that is Iron Hand ZX. So why is this a problem, you ask? Well, let me explain. This card has been compared before to Lugia EX from the Plasma sets, which had a similar attack 120 for 4 colorless, but could only be used if you discard a very specific Plasma energy attached to it. The card was good, and there were decks based around it, but it was balanced due to needing very specific cards to go alongside with it. Another comparison has been made to Stoutland V, which was very powerful in Lugia V-Star decks alongside Powerful Energy. However, it was basically limited to 1 use per game, as after it was KO'd, no more Powerful Energy were available, and you only got the extra prize card reward if you KO'd a basic Pokemon. Very recently we had a very problematic and anti-fun period in the Pokemon TCG when ADP dominated Standard between 2020 and 2021. Paired with Station V, the deck was extremely powerful and extremely fast to use its Altered Creation GX attack, and thus games were extremely short, and single price Pokemon were completely unplayable. While on the surface Iron Hand ZX doesn't seem like it will have that power level, the problem with Iron Hand ZX is the lack of restriction for its attack. It quite simply takes the extra prize card if you take a KO, no matter what Pokemon you are KOing, and the energy cost makes it extremely splashable in any deck that has energy acceleration, which there is no lack of in the current standard format. If you want to support the channel, you can use code tablemon to get 5% off at Potent Store for your online codes, 10% off for your sealed product at Flipside Gaming, and 10% off on your aluminum accessories at TC Evolutions. Or if you're looking to buy singles or sleeves, you can fill up your cart and close the tab, then click on the affiliate link in the description and check out. That way you can support the channel over at TCG Player, Card Market, and Dragon Shield. ¿Eres de México y necesitas cartas de Pokémon? Busca Hyperbeam Cards en Facebook e Instagram. Y si estás en Tijuana, búscalos en el local C27 en el Centro Comercial Otay. The first thought is to of course include it in Rhydon decks, as it can be easily searched out and powered up by Electric Generator and a Double Turbo. Both cards which can be easily searched out for by an Arven fetching the Generator and the Forest Seal Stone to then attach to a Raikou V or Raichu V to then fetch the Double Turbo. After the first turn, Double Flaffy could potentially power it up as well, and sure, Double Turbo reduces the damage from 120 to 100, but no single price Pokemon is surviving the hit at 100 anyways. However, since its attack cost requires only 1 lightning energy, Iron Hand ZX can actually easily be slotted into decks like Excalibur and even Lugia V-Star, by simply including a few copies of lightning energy and Earthen Vessel to search them out. Even Charizard EX could accelerate 3 fire energy onto it, and then a simple lightning attachment has it ready to go. We are already in a format where every turn is high pressure, and you need to make sure you are keeping up tempo and momentum with your opponent, as falling behind even a little bit can be fatal. Iron Hand ZX just exacerbates that problem, and quite frankly, probably immediately makes Gardevoir and Turbo Lost Box decks completely unplayable. In the case of Gardevoir, Iron Hand ZX is a 2-price Pokemon that will likely take 2 prizes when it attacks, and Gardevoir's best response at catching up on prize deficits is by taking favorable 2-for-1 prize traits through a fully powered up Shining Arcana Gardevoir. This is no longer possible if a second Iron Hand ZX hits play, as it will KO the Shining Arcana back and take the extra prize card with Amp You Very Much. The self-damage from Gardevoir is quite simply too much, and not to mention a turn 1 or turn 2 Iron Hands to lead the game with a 2 prize or even 4 prize lead before you even have a chance to respond is very likely. As for Lost Box decks, relying on the low HP Comfey to set up could lead to many scenarios where you're at least 2 prizes down when trying to deal with Iron Hand ZX, and the way to do so is with Dragonite V. But that is a 2-price Pokemon itself, so any other attacker paired with Iron Hand ZX that takes a return KO on Dragonite V, will be quite formidable. Not to mention this is happening on turns 1 to 2, so if you don't get an outstanding start on turn 1, you're probably already behind. We could definitely enter a cycle where Iron Hands EX is so good, and thus every deck has adapted against it, that it stops being great, and there's a small window where single price decks like God of War Lost Box can make a comeback, similar to the Mew VMAX, Trapian V, Spiritomb cycles we are currently encountering. However, the attack can be useful to KO V or EXs as well, and even high HP supporting Pokemon like Lumineon V and Squawkabill EX are weak to lightning, so they become even bigger liabilities than they currently are. In my mind, there are 3 decks I initially think will take advantage of Iron Hands EX to its full potential, and 2 decks that will be fine with that card existing and will actually benefit from it. Miraidon, Baxcalibur and Lugia decks are certainly going to thrive and survive, with Lugia being the weakest perhaps as it is itself weak to Iron Hands EX, and now a boss KO Arceus is even more destructive as it could provide 2 prize cards. The 4th deck which I think will actually benefit from Iron Hands EX existing is Mew VMAX. First off, neither Mew or Genesect V are taken down by an early Iron Hands EX, and the 3 decks that can use it are all actually quite weak to Judge Path from DT Mew or the Speed of Fusion Mew. Mew VMAX keeps showing it will stand the test of time and will never be completely gone from the metagame until it rotates, as even Charizard EX wasn't enough to deter players from playing it. Finally, the 5th deck might actually be Arceus V-Star decks. Arceus V is not weak to Iron Hands EX at all, and it can be paired with basically anything to help it adapt to the metagame. Combining that with Judge Path, I would not be surprised if we saw Arceus V-Star decks come back in full force with Paradox Rift, either as a standalone deck or with a Pokemon that can consistently hit in the 220 to 280 range. Maybe Giratina V-Star can make a comeback. In my 20 years of playing, I've never been in this uncertain position of not having a solid starting point to start off with. But one thing I am very certain of, Iron Hands EX is here to basically refresh the game, and it's unfortunate it is such a threat for Stage 2 decks, as it seemed we were finally heading into a direction where the game would be slower, especially with the not so distant rotation into the F Regulation Mark format. Now, I want to hear your thoughts on Iron Hands EX though. Are you looking forward to using it? Are you dreading to play against it? Maybe you've been living under a rock and this is the first time you're hearing about this. Regardless, we are now certainly entering a new era of the Pokemon TCG. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't yet, and leave a comment if you enjoyed the video or you think there's something I overlooked. Until next time!